God bless you, and welcome to another episode of God at Work. I have a phrase that I've heard so many times, and to be honest, I don't know who it came from. It's not a Bible quote or anything, but it's something that this man and his story, his life really speaks to me. The expression is, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you give him a fishing rod, you will feed him for a lifetime. So it is better to teach people how to do something themselves than to just do it for them. It's good to let them do things themselves so that they will learn the way to do it well. And this guest today that I will have, that you'll meet shortly, he's a perfect example of this, teaching and training people in ways that impact their entire communities. So anyhow, he's an amazing young man. His name is Joel Santiago Valentin, and he's part of the team with the Levanta ministry that were my guests last week. But Joel says that his focus in the ministry is community development with a biblical approach. And that's exactly what he's doing. I had the pleasure of being up in his little tiny mountain village. Getting up there was quite amazing, but it was worth it. To see the people, to see their reception, and to see the work that he was doing. But his hands-on involvement is really incredible. He is right there working with the people, giving them the rod and teaching them how to do it well, not just giving them a fish for the day. But there's a picture here of my guest, Sonata, from last week, together with Joel and I, in this place right in Mexico City. And it's funny, I've got a mask on, but in Mexico at that time, you couldn't go in any public building without your mask on. Couldn't go into Starbucks without your mask on. I was quite shocked. Anywhere you go, because up here it was becoming quite lenient at that point, but down there you had to have your mask on. So anyways, I had to ask Jerry if he will do a song for us right now called Change the World, because that's exactly what this ministry is doing. They are changing their part of the world. Jerry, change the world.
You can't change the stormy weather. You can't change the sands of time. You can't change the rugged mountain, so it's easier to climb. But you can change somebody's life just by giving them your own. One by one we'll change the world, so come on, sing this song.
You can change yourself.
It might take a little while.
You can change your friends.
Just by giving them a smile.
You can change the world.
And we've got so little time to chase away the darkness and fill the world with light. You can't stop the rain from falling. You can't stop the ocean's tide. You can't stop the sun from shining, even if you try.
You can change yourself.
But you can stop that empty feeling.
You can change the world
of being all alone. Just put love in someone's life, you'll find love is in your own. Yes, you can change yourself. It might take a little while. You can change your friends just by giving them a smile. You can change the world, and we've got so little time to chase away the darkness and fill the world with light. Yes, you can change yourself. It might take a little while. You can change your friends just by giving them a smile. You can change the world, and we've got so little time to chase away the darkness and fill the world with light. Yes, we can change the world, and we've got so little time to chase away the darkness and fill the world with light.
Change the world. And you know, it's one of the things I loved about the time that I was with this ministry down in Mexico for the couple of weeks. And you know, they are reaching into so many different areas, with so many different cultural, different backgrounds and cultural needs, etc. They took me to one little place for lunch one day. They really, for me, showed me a lot of cultural difference. You can see this picture here. It's showing what they're doing is they are heating up these rocks, and I mean real rocks, to a very high temperature. In the next picture, you can see the rock in my bowl of soup. That is how they cook the soup. They take one of those extreme rocks and put it into the bowl of soup. Mine was a shrimp soup. And they put it in. That's not a piece of meat. That's a rock. They put it right into the bowl of soup. And then in the next picture, you can see that rock is so hot, it's causing my soup to boil. That is actually my soup cooking. That's how they boil your soup. That was actually my soup cooking. They warn you, please do not start yet. It's not cooked. And they bring it to you with the meat or whatever it is you've got raw, with the rock in it, and it's boiling like that. It was amazing, but it's a different way that you see in these villages. There's so many differences and so many cultural issues. And one of the things that my guest is reaching out to see bettering in these villages. So my guest, as I said today, his name is Joel Santiago. And it was Joel and his mother that said his mother was a source of inspiration and discipline in his life. So there's Joel together with his mom. And it's her that encouraged him to go forward and do what he's doing, to the point that he studied a degree in agronomy, engineering. He's got a very high degree, agronomy, engineering. And it's a science of soil management and crop production. So he's, got quite the education. That's what he studied. But he has chosen to work and spread the gospel in the village that he lives in, as well as all these other villages all around, as he will explain. So Joel is going to explain some of what he's doing to you via some pictures and that you'll get to see. So here's Joel. Like I was saying earlier on, I do have a guest here with me today, and I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce him. His name is Joel Santiago Valentin, and he is working with the ministry Levanta. My guests last week were from this ministry, the international director, Sonata Bohem, and Elvira Duran, the Mexican director. And Joel is one of the really important members of this team, working up in the mountains, in the villages. He has work set up in like 9 different villages, but many going on at the same time. And this first picture that we have is on a garden where he's teaching them to grow organic type vegetables. Joel, ¿puedes explicar un poco ahora de tu trabajo allá?
Sí, mucho gusto estar en compartir con ustedes acerca
It's
de
nice that I can share with you.
lo que el Ministerio Levanta está haciendo acá en las comunidades de Oaxaca, en México, sobre todo
What the ministry is doing in the villages here in Mexico.
al desarrollo comunitario con el enfoque bíblico.
Especially community work with a biblical focus.
Y permitir que las familias, mujeres, niños participen para mejorar nuestras familias para un bienestar.
And it's so that the families, the women, the children can all participate to see things made better in their area.
Bien, y muchas familias se involucran a sembrar hortalizas, a establecer huertos familiares, sobre todo también a mejorar sus finanzas.
So many of these people, they get involved in it, but then they are able to work on their own.
Sí, de esa manera permitimos que pues Dios obre en diferentes maneras.
And this allows us to see God working in different ways. So in organizing the gardens, how does this work? So
Lo que nosotros hacemos en estas actividades,
what we do in these activities,
involucramos a grupos de no más de 15 personas
we involve groups of no more than 15 people
para que pueda haber una buena interacción o una buena participación y aprendizaje.
so that there can be good interaction and good chance for them to learn and have interaction in their learning.
Y en estos grupos no solamente trabajamos capacitaciones, sino también trabajamos con lo que Dios obra.
In these groups, not only do we work in getting them capacitated in what they're doing, and we also work in what God is doing, the work He's doing in the family. Okay, in the picture with the garden and the people working there in the garden, is that one of your classes?
Sí, en esas actividades
In
estamos
these activities,
estamos realizando establecimiento de hortalizas,
we are doing and working out and organizing the work in the village
de tal manera que las familias puedan producir algo de lo que consumen y que sea de manera sana,
so that the people can learn how to plant them and then have the vegetables be able to consume them in their families.
Consideramos que sanar a las personas no solamente que es lo importante en lo espiritual, pero también en la salud.
This can help them not only in growing and being healed, not only in their physical health, but also in their spiritual health. And so in this next photo, there's these women with these great big green, to me, it looked like tubes.
Sí, en las familias o en las hortalizas, a veces hay presencia de plagas, insectos que comen a las hortalizas.
In these gardens, can you explain the importance of what these women are doing?
Las plagas muchas veces atacan o se consumen a las hortalizas y una manera de prevenirla.
A lot of times, the plagues, the insects that attack what they're growing to be able to eat.
Y una manera de prevenirlas es utilizando una malla para proteger a las plantas cuando son pequeñas.
One way to prevent that is to use these nettings to cover and protect what they're growing. As you can see in the back end of the picture, there is one of those nets covering things. That protects them from the insects.
Y eso permite que no utilicemos productos químicos, sino que sean productos saludables.
And so this helps us to be able to not use any chemical products, but only products that are healthy. And then there's another photo of all the people eating.
Sí. Estamos en ese momento compartiendo la mesa de gracia que el Ministerio de Levanta nos comparte.
In this picture, we are sharing one of the tables of grace that you learned about last week, and they are being able to share their product.
Pero también en esta mesa de gracia compartimos parte de los alimentos que producimos en nuestras hortalizas.
So at this table of grace, we are sharing a part of what we have been able to harvest.
Porque Dios no solamente nos da, sino también tenemos que compartir lo que tenemos. Y en esta mesa de gracia lo hacemos.
So God not only gives us for ourselves, but He also gives us to share. And that's what we were doing in this table of grace.
Y eso permite que las familias puedan no solamente producir, sino también compartir.
And so this allows the families not only to be able to produce for themselves, but also to share what they're producing. So out of each of these gardens, the people plant it, and then they receive part of the harvest from the training that they're receiving. And so then I'm asking you if they can also take what they've learned and do it in their own property.
Sí, permitimos que las personas aprendan en diferentes espacios de sus hogares. Ponemos
So we allow the people to learn in different spaces around their homes.
Hacemos como pequeñas escuelas donde las personas aprenden.
So we do it like little schools where the people learn.
y lo que puedan, alguna inquietud, alguna duda, pueden consultarlo.
And so when somebody has a doubt, they can come and ask.
Y normalmente en los grupos de hortalizas, las que más participan son mujeres.
And more than in the local groups, those that are participating more than anything are the women.
Y eso permite que el desarrollo de la comunidad también esté en las manos de las mujeres también.
So also this being rolled out in the community is in the hands of the women. In this next photo, there's a group of women watching and looking on, and there's a great big pile covered in plastic. I'm just asking, is this part of this program? ¿Eso es parte del programa que tú estás enseñando?
En esa foto lo que estamos compartiendo es la producción de abonos naturales.
And we are looking here at the production of, I think it's fertilizers that are natural.
Ese día celebrábamos la prevención de la violencia contra las mujeres.
And that day when this picture was done, they were celebrating against the violence against women. It was a day recognizing and celebrating the cutting off violence against women.
Y lo realizábamos haciendo un abono natural para las hortalizas.
And so we do this in a way that can celebrate and strengthen what's going on.
Esa hortaliza, ese abono que preparamos para la hortaliza, era para compartir entre ellos.
And what's being done here under this tarp in this village, they get to share it and split it among themselves.
Todas las mujeres participaron o involucraron llevando abonos y una vez produciéndolo, se los iban a compartir.
So the women all bring things and put into it, but then when it's ready to be used and useful, then they share it.
Y algo importante es que muchos de ellos compartieron abono incluso a los que no eran del grupo, a otras familias.
And so one thing that's important is the women not only share what for themselves, but they are able to share it with others in the village. That's really important.
Y consideramos que también
we
dentro
can-
dentro de eso era como el desarrollo transformador que Dios nos pide en las comunidades.
And so involved in this is the change and the transformation that God can do in their lives. So the people that they share with that are not part of your group, do they end up also understanding the involvement of God in this work?
Si las familias se han dado cuenta que la dinámica que estamos teniendo es un enfoque
People
diferente.
understand that the dynamics that we have is a different focus.
El enfoque es muy distinto a programas gubernamentales, es distinto a programas municipales.
The program is very distinct and different from governmental and municipal programs.
Porque consideran que hay un compromiso tanto del ministerio como también entre ellos mismos. Aprenden a hacer un compromiso comunal.
So it's like this, with this program, they're learning not only the work, but there's like making a commitment in what's going on, what they're doing.
Y también eso permite que no solamente que asistan por recibir, sino también asistan porque pueden compartir de ellos mismos o de sus familias.
So they are taking part in this program, not only to be able to receive for themselves, but they're receiving and they can share it with their families and with others.
Y eso es una de las cosas que consideramos, tanto el ministerio Levanta, Sonata, Elvira, han visto cómo Dios obra a partir de esas actividades.
And we have seen in the Levanta ministry, together with Sonata and Elvira, the way that these things work in the communities. So también, yo notaba cuando yo estuve por allá, I also noticed when I was down there, they had these outhouse, what we would call outhouses. And, you know, normally when you enter into an outhouse, you're sort of figuring out a way you can plug your nose and everything else. But they have a program that they use, form that they use. I walked into an outhouse and there was no bad smell.
Bueno, en las letrinas secas estamos
In the
invitando a
dry
que
toilets,
estamos invitando a que las familias tengan un pensamiento, un conocimiento más ecológico o ambiental,
We are wanting the people to have a better ecological understanding, fundamental understanding.
considerando que Dios nos mandó a ser mayordomos o administradores de sus recursos.
Like wants us to be good stewards of our resources.
Y entonces consideramos que el agua es un recurso que lo utilizamos mejor para las hortalizas y los sanitarios no utilizan agua.
And so we've come to realize water is a resource that is very important. It can be used for a lot of healthy things. But so we don't use that water in the toilets.
El utilizar esos sanitarios ecológicos secos,
But we
nos
use
ahorramos,
these ecological dry toilets,
nos ahorramos más de 60,000 litros de agua al año.
and we
60.
save over 60,000 gallons of water every year.
Y esa agua mejor lo utilizamos para la producción de hortalizas limpias.
And this water we use, for better means, like for clean ecological gardens.
Y esos sanitarios se le da un manejo de cal a serrín para que no tenga malos olores.
And these latrines, they use things like coal, carbon, and sawdust and things like that, so they don't have a bad odor.
Y eso permite que ese sanitario no tenga olores y
And
tampoco
this
tenga
and this
presencia de...
allows that these toilets do not have a bad odor. Y no tienen mal olor y
presencia de moscas.
or the presence of flies all over. I was absolutely amazed when I walked into that outhouse. That I think it's really important. I was just telling Joel, he needs to come up here and teach us how to do this, because you enter into a campground or outhouse on the road somewhere, and just like you're plugging your nose to go in because you don't want to have to smell what's in there. But down there, I was so surprised entering in with no bad odor.
Sí, lo que buscamos es que lo que se aprende, también otras comunidades, otras familias lo aprendan también.
See, we want that people, what they're learning, they can share it so that other families and other communities can also learn it. So have you noticed how it's sort of growing and flowing so that others are learning?
Muchas personas que no pertenecen a los grupos con el Ministerio Levanta,
Many of the
por
people
estar
that aren't part of the group with Levanta Ministry,
solamente por estar observando lo que se está haciendo, lo están aprendiendo.
just by observing what's being done, they are learning.
Y esas personas no son asistentes a nuestros grupos, solamente están observando lo que están haciendo.
And these people aren't part of our groups, but they're just observing what is being done. And has this been then having an impact and flowing to other villages?
Sí, muchas familias han preguntado que cómo trabajamos, quisieran formar nuevos grupos de trabajo.
Many other people have been asking what we're doing and how we're doing it, and have formed other groups. So
No solamente quieren ahorrar, sino quieren vivir mejor.
not only just to save, but also to live better.
Hay varias comunidades, aproximadamente tenemos 9 comunidades trabajando.
We have 9 communities that are working in these programs.
Pero tenemos más de 20 grupos formados en esas comunidades.
But we have more than 20 groups that are formed in each of these communities.
Y cada grupo, algunos son niños, algunos son jóvenes y en su mayoría mujeres.
And in some of these groups, there's some children, there's some youth, and a large portion are women.
Y todos aprenden en un área específica del desarrollo de capacidades.
And they all learn and have certificate in this rolling out this type of ministry.
A través de eso permitimos que Dios obre en las comunidades.
And through this, we see and allow God to work in the communities. It's incredible. Joel, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, because I know that, all of us are looking for ways that we can share the gospel new ways, different ways. This is a really good way to be able to share the gospel while giving them something that they need. This is making a difference in the lives of the families in each of these villages. ¿Verdad?
Sí, consideramos que sobre todo es Dios quien obra, es Dios quien abre los espacios.
See, what we consider is it is God that is working, and it is God that is opening up all of these spaces to work.
Y es Dios quien realmente permite que la comunidad pueda percibir, que pueda permitir, que podemos compartir.
And God is the one that allows that, in each the community, they can receive and they can share what's going on, what they've got.
Y el programa
So-
creo que ha permitido, sobre todo, quitarnos un poco de ser el egoísmo y las envidias.
This program also has taken out and removed a lot of envy and jealousy. And it's removed it from the lives of the people because they're sharing. Thank you, Joel, for being with us and sharing another way, another great idea that we can share the gospel. Now, I know in most of our cities we can't do that, but there's all sorts of ways and other ways that we can have wonderful ideas.
Pues yo creo que el ministerio de Dios es grande y tenemos que
I-
ser sensibles ante la necesidad del Señor.
I believe that the work of God is big, great, and we need to be sensitive to that which He is desiring. So I have asked Jerry if he will close with a song called The Goodness of God before we go into the actual closing, because that's exactly what Joel and his people, the group, are doing, is showing the goodness of God and seeing lives change because of it. So Jerry, the goodness of God.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire. In the darkest night, you are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Yes, your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yes, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
The goodness of God. You know, that's exactly what Joel and the people he's working with are spreading in those villages, in all of those communities up in the mountains. They're spreading the goodness of God. This is a mountain picture here that I just thought was a beautiful picture. And you look at it, and it looks like just mountains. But in those mountains, there are multiple villages of multitudes of people needing the goodness of God. And that's exactly what he's doing. Like he said, right now, he is working in 9 different villages, spreading the goodness of God in the way that God has given him to do so. So I'm praying that God will give me new ideas as well as give all of you new ideas and ways that you can reach out where the need is in your area and reach those in need. Like in my city at one point, we had a feeding program to feed the homeless and the addicts, and it was a real need in my community, and it touched so many lives. It changed the city, according to the police department of the city at the time. But another group of people, seeing the success that program had, came and they wanted to see what we were doing, and they tried to copy our feeding program with the homeless in a very wealthy area of the city. That was not a need in that area. That was not something that the people were going to be thankful and happy for. Actually, they got quite upset because these people started bussing in the homeless. They didn't want that in their neighborhood, but there was a great need. And very quickly they realized and switched that a lot of elderly that were very lonely in their big mansions up in this area, and they started putting on these teas for all the elderly, and it served a purpose. So I'm praying and asking God to give all of us new ideas that are vital in the communities where we live. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much, Lord, for our friend Joel and what he's doing down there together with Sonata and Elvira, reaching out into these villages, touching lives, changing hearts, seeing people come out of life of not knowing what they're doing, not knowing where to go, not knowing how to do what they need to do. And they're reaching out and teaching them. So, Father, I ask that you will give all of us hearts to meet the needs of those in the areas where you've planted us. In your precious name, amen. Well, I do pray that this has touched your heart. And I'm going to put details in as to how you can reach Joel if you want more information on what it is he's doing, or even if you would like to help him in some way. I'll put the details as to how you can do that for Joel in the description of the video. But if you have been touched by this and you would like to sow into our ministry, Jerry will put the details up on the screen so you can do that. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.